part of the formula of pattern recognition. You want to be able to, as leaders and as coaches and as human beings, to recognize patterns. And those patterns might be what's going on here, what's going here, and you create a Venn diagram by putting two things together and a third thing, and you come up with a pattern recognition. That's number one. Number two is pattern utilization. What do you do with that once you recognize it? And of course, getting options and being able to look at options makes sense. Number three is pattern creativity. You got to create something. So you have pattern recognition, pattern how to use it, then the creativity, which means action. And the fourth, I think, is pattern interruption, simply because that happens. If something's not working, interrupt it. And I'm really focused on that. I like that model. And, my big idea is really simple. Let's put together people that have different deliverables, values, either time or talent or money or resources or even connections. And let's figure out how to work together a little bit better. And it's really not an old idea. It's not even a new idea. It's just an idea that depends on all the people that have come together. And so my focus, and I'll share my screen, that with what we call CoVentures.world or World of CoVentures. And last year we stepped into cybersecurity. I really liked that because of the size of and the magnitude of the marketplace, which is multi-trillion-dollar space. No solutions to that, but we started with a cybersecurity academy online to do that, and using cybersecurity in certainly different vertical markets, as well as working with some of our peers, Consulting Ace that offers government grants if you qualify. That's a big if. But if you do, and when you do, it could be multi-million-dollar benefits that can come for free or very low effort with no investment. Also, commercial incentives. Entrepreneurs University is interesting because of all the training can be done in different areas, small and medium and large size companies, depending on where they're at, and drive them through. And Bob can speak to that a little bit better. We're also working with BenUps. They come out, they're focused on compliance and risk management with the medical industry, working with about 1,000 hospital clients, rural hospitals. But they've come out with an AI that's interesting, and they're going to have a presentation in the next few weeks. Also, we're working with different AI companies, peers, Echo.ai, Savvy.ai, that focuses on employee healthcare and benefits that they can receive. Also, with Continuum Foundation, I'm intrigued with the virtual space, virtual solutions. Blockchain is huge. I don't fully understand it, but I want to know more about it because it seems to be the underpinning and the infrastructure for a lot of different initiatives that are coming up, like NFT, like cryptocurrency, and what else is going to happen. I'm not quite sure because just recently the Sovereign Wealth Fund has been created, and they don't know what to do with that either. But obviously, it's going to be a virtual environment. We're also focused in Southeast Asia with some initiatives, and also the philanthropic and nonprofit world with Blackbird Global Foundation. They started in cybersecurity and stepped into healthcare with kiosks. And that's interesting. And also recycling, and also different initiatives that may not bring any revenue right away, but it does some good for the world. And so we put together a CoVentures mastermind group that we meet periodically. And you're welcome to join. I'll put a link on, I put a link on the chat box. I'll put it again so you can get an opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
So that's my invitation. Join our community, join our events, join our world of CoVentures. So it's like, but you're also a business coach with an attorney background. That's got to be interesting because attorneys in my mind are much more critical. So when you coach, I would think that your approach is more critical based. But I wonder if you could share with the new year, what's the big ideas that you're facing in your business, the opportunities, the challenge that you face? First, a big idea this year, Jim.
Thanks, Rocky. I've got a nice base of work from a number of different clients. What I'm always looking for, and I generally run into it once, twice, three times a year, is that next big project, right? Helping that industry, that business, that person that's got an idea, transform that, but in a big way. So not just like a weekend project or, engage for 2 or 3 months. That 6 months to a year project where somebody moves from here way up there. And they're out there, they're looking for people who have coaching knowledge. Like you said, I bring a different view to it as a former attorney. I bring a pragmatic view, and I think that's valuable. But it's getting my message out there. It's getting people to see that, and it's getting a project to move from point A to a point where it's finished.
So what is your challenge along these lines, Jim?
My challenge is the right vehicle to connect with people. And I view this as a good opportunity to connect and get to know people. But I feel, and I use LinkedIn, I just feel like there's a project out there that's in need of something I've got, but it's making that connection. I guess that's for me this year what my goal is, to make that real big
Yeah,
connection.
I think not only to this channel, connecting with people, but being participant in a bunch of other different communities, you can literally create that synergy of interaction to grow your expand your business. The more people know who you are and what you are and what you're doing for the greater good of the human society, the more they will interact with you. I personally believe that the more communities and the more things you're involved is definitely to be in the knowing the out there. Back in the old days, everybody did after hours, right? Happy
Right.
hours, events, and marketing and things like that. But that changed. People are gotten used to be at their home, working from home. But you know what? Social networking is a crucial aspect in all aspect of any business in today. So
I love
irrelevant
that.
to the fact.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And I think, Ricardo, you're right on target. You deal with this in terms of worldwide, right? We aren't
Mhm.
bound by what's going on in your town or your area. We do have, as evidenced by us sitting here today, we do have that evidence to be global. And that's why I'm very optimistic that there's always a project out there that's waiting, and it's just latching onto it where the challenge is.
And I personally believe I think technology is changing for the greater good to be more trustworthy online and social media and all these different aspects of connection. Like I'm part of Substack. It's a new application or platform that allows you to integrate your words, your ideas into articles. And as people connect with you, you create a live video feed for them to interact with you. And every so often, someone will come along the way who wants your expertise, your experience, and it's not only that. I mean, I do the social media marketing and we post and things across 11 different channels, but that's not sometimes sufficient enough. I go beyond the expectation of writing articles about topics and subjects, sometimes not even related to my matter of expertise within my area, but I research and dive into it and I write an article associated directly to that. And all of a sudden, I get a new traffic of interaction. So people that I never had, that they knew who I was or what I was or what I was doing for. But it is part of it, right? It's just sometimes it's just changing that mentality of the networking integration that is only sufficient to the old methodology.
Yeah.
But in this day and age, it's changing that aspect to the more, I call it intrusive, right? But why? Because we are basically jumping in the bandwagon of someone entity of business or society, and sometimes it's needed. But the trustworthiness it is crucial the interaction so they know who you are, so they know what you're doing, so the scammers of the world will not try to scam your presence of your system. I've been scammed before. I've been even mimicked to my existence, and my identity has been stolen. But I believe in the near future, the internet and the means of communication in this aspect of doing business across network, like Rocky said, he's in Miami, I'm in Texas, you're in Pennsylvania, the future can change dramatically over
This
time.
year, we're in, I think, the world of Flash. And I don't think the coaching community, and I want to welcome Saul Certain has joined us. We've been talking to Jim Persing. I think we're in the world of Flash, especially with the Trump administration, the tariffs, the disruption. We're
The
attacking
chaos.
China. We're getting Greenland, Panama. What kind of world did we step in? And it's flash. I think it's flash. There's I call it flash because from the it gets the big attention, but there's very little substance underneath. That's what I'm thinking, and I'm wondering if that also applies to coaching. I don't know for sure yet, but let's hear from you, Ricardo. You're not in the Alamo, but you are in San Antonio. You've got over 800 franchises. You're very well versed in many areas. So I'm wondering if you might share big ideas. Yeah, people come to you with big ideas. What's your big idea of 2025, the opportunity,
Like,
the challenge? How do we first start off with a big idea so we know what you're talking about?
so there's a lot of great potentials and opportunities in the market of the world. I personally believe that anything related to the data mining, anything related to information systems, anything related to uh, information like AI, just like deep seek and all the other tools that exist in place, are the great idea no matter what business it is. We're running a particular program called Hyper Delivery where we are now creating the synergy of delivering packages at a local level. And we just decided to integrate new AI tools to allow it to become more logistic friendly. They can calculate the distance of space of time for any particular package to be delivered in a local area based on traffic coordination and protections and things like that. So big ideas overall can be anything, but it seems like in today's society we are all AI companies, but there's a lot of people now that they're using the AI of other people's system. But I think the big idea is create your own tool of AI with the current AI that exists that will benefit you to the greater good of your brand or your business. One thing that I'm trying to work in the medical space field is not only to create prediction or predictability on the conditions of health. I'm still having to find issues on finding the right programmers and logistical experts so that we can integrate the tool into a platform that can be monetized. We have the data, we have the research, we need to create the infrastructure platform. And right now I'm interviewing developers for that reason, due to the fact of that reason. But the big ideas are those who are related to technology. It always has been and it will always be. In the future, sky's the limit. At this current moment in time, the ones I'm focusing are the ones that we already have established and moving them along the way and to sell them and get rid of and move it to the next one. Once we make them into proven methods, it's just selling them to people who can run for them. So my goal is to get the one in the medical field. And I had Rabi at one point, but we lost Rabi. I haven't seen him.
Also, for you, Ricardo, I met a business, a peer that says, why would you want developers when we can do anything that a developer does with their programs? I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me because developers are hard to find, like you said. But if you can get a program to do 80% of the work with their help, all of a sudden, that's a game changer. Yeah, that's called programming. And there is somebody that could help you do that. So there might be a synergy there. I'm starting to find out or think that I might be a conduit for making connections because I have an event every single workday of the month, and I pick up pieces here and there that don't apply to me, but they could apply to you, Ricardo, or even Bob Norton, or even Jim Percy, or even Saul. But let me open it up. Does anybody have a question, comment, thought, feedback for Ricardo? Either in his distribution business, I think you're in a distribution business now, and also stepping into what certainly needs for getting ahead of the competition.
Think
Anybody?
that AI is certainly going to have an impact, and we've all got to look at where we can use that and be a first mover. It's going to take 4 or 5 years or more for most companies to integrate it, but I think there's competitive advantage to be had by being a first mover there. It's not the be all end all that, it's hyped to be, but it can have a huge impact. I mean, I probably saved my VA half a day's work with 15 minutes of AI work yesterday. um, and I'm doing a post on that of how, you don't want to look at it as a panacea, but you've got to be using it to aid, a lot of the things you do on a day-to-day basis. So digital transformation, is going to be 80% integrating AI, I think, over the next 3 to 5 years.
But Bob comes from not just having one or two or three or four, but four companies raising multi-million-dollar businesses, has an online presence for small, medium, and large companies. So I think it's his mind we want to cultivate and find out what's in your mind. So Bob, what is on your mind for 2025 in your business, the opportunity and the challenge you're facing? Well, but first, what's on your mind? What's the big idea?
Well, I think as everyone knows, I generally work with VC worthy companies, but I definitely see the market percolating on startups becoming more and more common. I've been approached to do a CEO boot camp in Vietnam this year, and I'm probably going to do one in California. Ironically, I've never done one in California, and of course, that's the center of the entrepreneurial world. And so, I guess what I'm saying is, because of social media, because of AI, I think that that the whole work back to work thing and everything else. I think there's a little bit of a fire starting in everyone having their own company sort of mentality. And so I think there's going to be a lot more startups. And, they're not big ideas. They're people running their own freelancing businesses and having control of their own life. And obviously that's been a trend. That's not anything new, but I'm definitely seeing a continuation of that because I think AI is adding to that capability for people to feel like they can figure things out better because they've got access to a chat GPT or a Bard or whatever, and they may not need, the minimum critical mass of a company of 5 or 6 people when they can potentially use AI to fill in some of the holes and to figure out how they should do marketing without spending 10,000 on a consultant and all that sort of stuff. So I think you're going to see more startups, and I'm talking globally. I'm not talking just in the United States. I think that entrepreneurial startup, is spreading around the world more.
Uh, how are you going to bring that message to the people that you're talking about? Because you're talking about business, and many of them probably know very little about how they want to integrate AI and technology. How are you going to do that, Bob?
Well, we always have done digital transformation because, as you know, I'm an ex-CTO and VP of engineering in a past life. And so we're always looking for opportunities where technology can provide competitive advantage. But, I'm not going to roll up my sleeves and help them implement AI. I'm going to work with vendors that do that and come in and, we'll spot opportunities and then we'll connect them with vendors that can come in and use either an API or to me, there's three levels of integrating AI. There's off-the-shelf tools. There's using APIs to chain the value of AI into an organization's workflow. And then there's true AI development, which is only for the bigger companies with more money that are creating AI products for the marketplace. And I think a lot of the focus for the next couple of years is going to be on that first one is how can companies cheaply and quickly use off the shelf AI tools in their daily workflow. So I think you're going to see a lot more of that. Just getting quick
I
answers.
think with that message that you can walk with others but not for others. If you're not willing to align yourself with the ones that are walking or running, you're gonna be so behind that it's gonna be hard. But you cannot do it for others. So I think what Robert was saying is finding these companies that have these tools. I think in the middle, that's what we're doing now, integrating our coaching program for children and for investors. It's just collaborating with others that are doing it, that maybe I have something that I know and they have something that they know. And I think this entrepreneurial model is going to be more like a collaboration model than independent model. I think there's going to be startups of collaboration instead of startups of I can do it all with AI. Is no, I can do my part, you do your part. Let's work together, but I'm not going to work for you. You're not going to work for me. I have to take my steps. So I think what I'm seeing now in corporations and with coaching, and again, is manage my business on investing and and coaching a lot of entrepreneurs. We focus on the Hispanic market in the United States, 63.6 million people. So it's a different culture. And with that in mind, I think I'm feeling as an entrepreneur that is more a collaborative model. We created a lot of our own. I have two designers in South America, in Colombia. And one, because it's sensitive information when we do coaching for children on character building. So we have to protect a lot of the information on that. So with a piece that we are finding out of companies that are doing it for the different than a kind of a course online, we call it more coaching online. So we have to, we're using some of the AI that we have on answers, but we decided to apply our own systems on how to coach, not to teach, which is by accountability models that we're putting in it. So we're looking at accountability models. Since you complete this, how you implement it, what results you get, because we have a model of pay it forward. If I give you this, then I need you to pay it forward to two people. And for that, I need the AI to make it easier for them to work with me, not for me or not for them. So we integrated these coaching online models using our content, but we use the technology to speed up, to complete one part, pass to the next part, get a certificate, get rewarded, and run it automatically. So we're developing that on the children's part. On the investment part, we're working with companies that basically are taking the information from the MLS, per se, like Trulia and Silo, and taking it, but we're formatting it in both languages at the same time. So we are applying the Hispanic culture into investing with the American model of investing, and that's pretty cool. So there's so much technology like Trulia and Silo are using right now to integrate that, and they're willing to collaborate, which is interesting. Before there was no collaboration, now it's a lot of collaboration. So, but we are writing a lot of our stuff on the content part, and not just making online courses, but online coaching around the world, and teaching my model of character building. If you can coach the children, you don't have to punish the adult. And if you can coach them with values and investing at an early age, then we have a better world. So that's what I'm doing, building that. But because I had this journey and I learned that, so I decided to stop my one-on-one coaching. And since that chat, I guess God gave me a license to put something together. And I decided to package the programs using AI, using all this, and put all that into 3 coaching programs, one for entrepreneurs, one for investors, and one for children, and just integrate those and make it into a coaching model. So I'm investing into the AI. I hire people from different countries so I can have different cultures, people to participate in something greater than just making money, which is building wealth. Wealth in a sense of values, of families uniting and sharing that message. So the challenge I have is on corporations like United Way and corporations saying, okay, you have a great message, but are you actually taking action, or are you just talking about it? And that's the challenge, to move them to understanding, to taking action, instead of understanding, to understand, to think about it, just to take action. So the biggest challenge is, so AI is going to help us, I think in this case, or what we're doing is as a coaching model to take action. So I think the biggest challenge I see is people are uncertain of certain things. They're not sure about what's going on here. As a coach, and you probably are coaches as well, I have to see where the game is going to end, not how we play in this moment. So the things that you have to do today to have a better ending and win are the things that you have to do. So the challenge I have is participation of these corporations on believing that the benefit at the end in the next generation, in this case, my market, the Latin boom, is going to be seen in the next 20 years. If you don't participate in it right now, integrating your cultures, you're probably going to be left out of business. It's not about the language, it's totally about the culture. And what culture are we going to have when 20% of the US population is Hispanic and you're not integrating it? I'm not talking about immigration the way we've seen it, but you don't have to be here to do business here. You can use artificial intelligence to do business with Chile, with Panama, with Argentina, with all the world from here or from there. So the challenge is that to take action, integrate the cultures, and take advantage of this 450 million Hispanic market that we have in the world. That we're thinking that you have to be here to do business. You don't. You have to use technology to spread out.
Yeah, I hear you saying leadership has to show up, but let me open it up to see if Jim or Bob or Ricardo have any questions, comments, thoughts, feedback for Saul. Anybody? Go
Well,
ahead, Jim.
I've got a question for all the coaches, which is, what's the competitive risk and threat and perception that AI can replace coaches? Personally, I feel that's a crazy idea, but I also think a lot of people out there will think that it is possible, even though they don't know the questions to ask and they don't have sort of the context and breadth. But I can see a lot of people sort of using AI, LLMs especially, as a coach.
It's a really good question, Bob, and I've seen a lot of people talking about it, and there is this belief that, oh yeah, all we do as coaches, right, is like ask questions and investigate further. You could get AI to do that, but I think what they miss is sort of that three-dimensional aspect, our experience, our relationships, the connections we have, what we bring specifically to that situation. I'd love to hear what Saul says on that. I mean, I think that's our
I
advantage.
think I think
Yeah, I call that context because
Yeah.
an AI query has a very limited context. And even if you set up a customized GPT that's within a business context, it's limited. I mean, it's nothing like 20 years of experience brought to a problem.
that the AI gives you information, but information without application is just a waste of a whole bunch of energy. As coaches, I think we bring energy. So the 20 years that you have, Jim, of experience brings that energy because you walk that walk. You have that energy. And if you inject that business energy and teach them how to properly use the information, more power to them. Go ahead and use all that information. But as a coach, I'm going to show you how to put it in place so you can create that business energy that is contagious so you can then reach out to bigger frontiers, that you haven't seen because you're so focused on information without application. And that requires energy. And that energy is not going to come from ChatGPT. It's going to come from the
So I
person that
agree.
knows how to do it.
I agree. But for example, I have used a lot of different coaches in my life because not one single coach have all the answers for the problem that I'm trying to solve. And at this current moment in time, there's not one thing in the chat GPT or the AI tool that can actually help in any way whatsoever that will help me understand sometimes some of the things that I'm trying to overcome. And due to the fact that I'm trying to overcome a lot of different things, there's a lot of codes that I interact with that they don't have the answer for what I'm looking for. And due to the fact of that, I try to strike directly to the AI to give me some referrals in relation to the kind of coach I'm looking for. So, and that's what it comes down to. Sometimes the AI gives you that answer, or sometimes the AI steers you in the direction of the answer that you're looking for, so that you can dive more in depth. And to this point in time, right now, still yet, I'm not being able to get an answer from an AI tool to in order to integrate the process, the procedure that I'm trying to convey in the medical field yet. And I have one person in mind, but it all of a sudden disappear from the existing.
I look at everything as energy, and in business is business energy, and business energy is BE, which is to be or not to be in there. So you have to just center yourself, know what you want. I think with ChatGPT or with AI is just learning how to ask the specific question and be prepared not to get an answer, but to get, as uh, Ricardo mentioned here, a guide. I think it's more like a guide how to get the answer, but it's not the answer. If it was the answer, then you have to come with better questions, more challenging questions. But I think it's exciting times. I think we're going to see a lot of speed, and I think you can go farther with a team than by yourself. And when you're tired, somebody can pick you up and go with it. But you have to, I think, be prepared to go faster today, not because of AI, but because of the energy that you need to go faster. So you need to recharge.
But you do need a sounding board, and this is a great sounding board to express some thoughts or ideas. But inevitably, you're going to be the one responsible, taking the leadership and coaching yourself, and which means taking action. So I think we all coach ourselves, but we do need some sounding boards that we call coaches too. So any other thoughts for Saul? Anybody?
Well, leaping back to my question just briefly, I think we as coaches, because we all do some coaching, need an answer to that question of why should I use you instead of an LLM, right? And if the industry doesn't come up with that, it's a perception versus reality. I think we all understand that that's not a great solution because there's no wisdom in the conversation, there's no context. But I think we need a standard answer for the prospects out there to explain why an LLM isn't as good as a coach, you know?
Well, I think it's going to be obvious, Bob. We're talking a machine versus a human being. And I think you said it well earlier, 20 years of experience, although that might be older experience. But I think being able to communicate, be able to have ideas, be able to have feelings and emotions and thoughts that are totally different than AI. I think both are going to happen. It's AI and HI, human intelligence, that's going to appear. And
Now,
the message.
creativity, don't forget creativity, imagination. You know, you heard my explanation that AI technically has no intelligence now, as per Einstein's definition of intelligence, which is creativity, because an LLM is just a database of what everyone said before. So by definition, it has no creativity in it. There's nothing new in it. Of course, it's all new to the person that doesn't know that vast amount of data, you know?
Yeah, well, I think it's part of the formula of pattern recognition. You want to be able to, as leaders and as coaches and as human beings, to recognize patterns. And those patterns might be what's going on here, what's going here, and you create a Venn diagram by putting two things together and a third thing, and you come up with a pattern recognition. That's number one. Number two is pattern utilization. What do you do with that once you recognize it? And of course, getting options and being able to look at options makes sense. Number three is pattern creativity. You got to create something. So you pattern recognition, pattern how to use it, then the creativity, which means action. And the fourth, I think, is pattern interruption, simply because that happens. If something's not working, interrupt it. And I'm really focused on that. I like that model. It's not my model. I took some of it from Tony Robbins finishing his course that he had recently. And I thought, oh, that makes sense. I think that's a good way to step up. And I've heard before that pattern recognition seems to be the way good leaders are able to show up. So I put that sentence: pattern recognition, pattern utilization, pattern creation, and pattern disruption. Those four things. I don't know if it's sequential or dynamic, but being able to use it, I think makes a lot of sense, at least in the world that we're navigating.